everyone, welcome back to Blooms and Bicycles. Hope you're having a lovely September so far. And as we welcome in the autumn time in all its fiery, vibrant glory, scattered across our lands are swathes of trees in almost a luminous colours of crimson pinks, golden ambers and ruby reds. And low-lying sunrises bless us with dusky pink skies that sit as the perfect backdrop to the darker silhouettes of chimney stacks on roofs. Chugging out silvery wisps of smoke from households keeping warm inside, they become the perfect backdrop and accent colour to all of the surrounding glowing tones. And taking inspiration from the specialness of these everyday moments this time of year brings, we are so delighted to bring to you today the Autumn Sunrise Flower Collection. So today our flowers and water vessels are already prepared with both the water and the flower feed. However, if you would like to learn how to prepare your water vessel, you can find the link to our flower care video in the description box below. In today's video, we'll be sharing with you how to construct the Autumn Sunrise large letterbox flowers. So to begin with, we'll start by constructing the grid using this fine variety of Grevillea, the Anagasanthes, also known as Kangaroo Paws, and the red dyed oak leaves. So first of all, we'll take our oak leaves and we'll trim down the stem just to be sure that when it's added to the vase, it doesn't seem too open or like it's about to topple out. Making sure to remove any leaves that will fall underneath the watermark. Just keep holding the stem behind the vase and trimming down gradually until it reaches a point where you're happy with the height. With this design, you'll receive 3 stems of the oak, and with this one, these 2 stems are actually a lot thinner than this more established stem here. So we'll make sure this becomes the focal point of the triangle we're creating just now. So keeping hold of any leaves that you take away from the oak stems, we'll then use these later on. So now that the oak is introduced to the water vessel, we'll next take our Grevillea to add some greenery. The Grevillea is naturally very long, as you can see, so we can actually take advantage of this by cutting it into 2 pieces. The best way to do this is to find a leaf roughly around the halfway point and just trim almost on a vertical angle just above the leaf. So working to the magic of 5 now, we'll add the Grevillea towards the front and weave it through the red oak leaves to become positioned in a central area that also leans off to the back. And now we'll take our Anagasanthes and we'll trim this down so that it's relatively similar in height to what we've added so far. So again, you'll receive 3 pieces of Anagasanthes with the large letterbox flowers. So we just work to the magic of 3 with the triangle formation. So now we'll take our final piece of Anagasanthes and not trimming away as much from the bottom of the stem this time. We'll make this a higher central point in the triangle by positioning this longer stem towards the back in between the other 2. Might just reduce the height of this slightly, just to make sure it still looks proportionate to the rest of the pieces added to the design so far. So now we'll take our Sedum and Dahlia, which relatively speaking, in terms of volume and mass, match each other in their size. And given that the Grevillea has now started to naturally lean sort of off to one side there, I think it'd actually be quite nice to add this Sedum in the opposite direction. So we'll just trim away and weave it through our grid until it sits in a place where it seems to be happy. So we want to make sure that the red oak leaves don't dominate too much. So the best thing to do is to just weave the flowers in front of the oak leaves, and therefore the red of the oak leaf will act as a backdrop and allow for the beauty and the detail of the flower to then sit in front. So next we'll add this beautiful variety of Dahlia, and honestly the camera doesn't do this justice. On the underneath of the petals there is a lilac-y iridescent sheen, which actually is much more visible in real life because of the structure of the petals. The petals are pretty rigid and sit upright and actually fully form into a pom-pom shape, so that there is continual coverage of petals right around the back of the flower head and tightly up to the back of the flower stem, just as much on the reverse as there is in front. It's beautiful, and you'll know what I mean when they get delivered. So first we'll start by removing the leaves, doing so by trimming almost vertically right up tight against the main stem. This just allows for a really neat finish and does away with any of the rougher trims that have already been done by the flower grower before it's been delivered. So in terms of the leaves that are at the very top of the flower, it's up to you whether you leave these in place. Traditionally speaking, you would take the leaves away for all the reasons we outline in our flower care video. However, if you do wish to introduce some more green to the design, you can leave them on. And given how spectacular this type of dahlia is, I think it does it justice to put it right in the centre, surrounded by the roses which are to come. So now we'll take our candle-shaped varieties, which is the purple astilbe and the maroon amaranthus. So again, thinking about mirrored positions and natural balance, we'll look to add one on each side. And as we always say, use the grids as much to your advantage as possible. The flowers don't have to sit all the way to the bottom of your water vessel. They can sit on the bed of stems which you've knitted together. So next we'll introduce the Berzelia, and we'll do this by introducing it to the front of the design in the mirror position to the Maroon Sedum. So next we'll take our different rose varieties, which together create the ombre effect of an autumn sunrise sky. As you can see, they graduate from the stronger coral oranges of the sun as it comes over the horizon to the more dusky pinks through to the more silvery tones. So now we'll just add these and make sure there is an even distribution of rose flowers throughout the design. Just taking your time as you add each one in. Make the most of the experience of actually assembling the flowers as well as the experience of looking at the display itself. Without rushing it, it is a real joy. So now, given the fact we've got some taller roses towards the back with real height, and then we graduate down in height towards the middle area with a couple more, I think it'd actually be nice to trim this rose right down and introduce it in the lower area where we currently have a little bit of negative space. So now we'll take our dried asparagus ferns and our tulip and just add a little bit more contrast to the maroons and fuchsias which are running throughout the display so far. These tulips are beautiful and they come with a natural curve in the stem, so we'll just thread this through. Given the fact we now have a distribution of colour from the spray rose off to the left, it'll be nice to introduce the tulip to provide some colour on the right. So that stem has actually been fed in quite far back into the vase's grid, but it actually allows that then to hold the curve of the stem in such a way where you still see the flower in an upright position rather than the flower starting to face completely down. And finally, we'll take our dried asparagus ferns. Because this is a dried stem, it doesn't actually have to make contact with the water. And because they're quite a flexible material to work with, it makes them easy to manipulate and shape around the flowers as you see fit. And then finally, we'll just take those red leaves, which we took off the oak stems earlier, and then we'll scatter them around the bottom of the vase to look like they've just fallen off the tree. So taking one final step back, making sure we're happy with the design. That all looks okay. Other perhaps than this rose, which just doesn't seem to be very visible beyond the oak leaves. And there you have it, the autumn sunrise large letterbox flowers. I hope you enjoy.